Friday. Hope you're all having a great week. I've had some questions about macros and what they are, how we get started on them, why we use them. So I wanted to do a little rundown video all about them and hopefully be able to help you understand them better so that when people talk about macros or flexible dieting, you know what they're talking about. So we're going to start with just what a macro is. So macros is short for macronutrients, and we need macronutrients and micronutrients from our diet. Macronutrients we need in larger amounts, and micronutrients we need in smaller amounts. Macronutrients include carbs, fats, proteins, and alcohol. We usually don't focus on alcohol, so the three macronutrients I'll be talking about will be protein, carbs, and fats. Micronutrients, on the other hand, are like vitamins and minerals. So micronutrient like a vitamin D or vitamin A. And so we need those in smaller amounts, but they all come from our food. So how it works is each macronutrient has an amount of calories per gram. So let's use protein, for example. For 1 gram of protein, you will get 4 calories out of it. For 1 gram of carbs, you get 4 calories. And for fat, it's a little more calorically dense. So 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. And so our macros actually, when people say they're counting their macros, they are technically counting their calories too, because the macros make up the calories. So you have big picture calories, up here is calories, and then they kind of branch off. And it's protein, carbs, and fats, and that's what makes up our calories. So I hope that makes sense. So I've included this Venn diagram so that you can visually kind of see the types of foods that belong in each macro category. So if we look at protein, the blue circle, we'll see things such as chicken breast, egg whites, lean beef. If we look at the carb circle, which is the red one, we'll see things such as rice, honey, fruit, oatmeal. And then the green circle represents fat, and we see things such as oils, avocado, and butter in there. However, it's important to note that not every food is one specific macro. So butter is pretty much only fat. That's what most of the calories come from, is fat. However, you take things like nuts, those have fats and protein. So you'll see those in between the protein and the fat circle because they overlap. And then if you look over to the protein and carb circle, things that overlap there are things such as vegetables, pasta, bread, because there's a lot of carbs in those, but there's also protein. So just understand that some foods are going to be heavy on one specific macro, but other foods are going to be a combination of different macros. Now, why would we use macros over calories is a good question, because macros, as I said before, macros do make up the calories, and if we pictured calories as a big cloud up here and we branched off into the macros, why wouldn't we just count calories? Well, we could just count calories, but when someone is training or they want a specific goal or they want their body to have specific muscle mass or whatever, it's more important to be counting the macronutrients that you're intaking rather than just the calories. Because let's say someone is on a plan or a macro plan that has them eating 2,000 calories a day. Well, if they're just counting their calories, they could be eating all those calories from sugar and carbs. And so, yes, they would probably still get to their goals, but it might not be as beneficial as if they split that up and put some of their calories towards protein, some of them towards fats, and then some towards carbs as well. So it's better to have them split up, and everybody has a different ratio of carbs, fats, and proteins that they need. And just like your calories, it's really going to depend on your lifestyle. It's going to depend on your age, your gender, what your goals are, your activity level. So there's lots of different variables. So another reason why we use macros instead of maybe a meal plan is because it's so much more less restrictive. Flexible dieting or macros, they're interchangeable. You'll hear people call them macros if it fits your macros, flexible dieting, IIFYM. They're all interchangeable and they all mean the same thing. And it's a lot more less restrictive than a meal plan. A meal plan is your coach tells you you can eat these things throughout the day. You have to eat them at this time, you have to eat this much, but it becomes tiring. You can do it, but it's not long term. And why do you want to be on the same meal plan long term when you could have so much flexibility? With macros, you could eat something different every day. You can eat something different for every meal. You don't have to eat chicken 3 times a day. You don't have to eat egg whites for breakfast. You don't have to eat oatmeal. Nothing's off limits. So that's another thing we see when we talk about meal plans is things will be off limits. You can't have dairy. You can't have gluten. You can't have fruit because it has sugar in it. Well, you need a balance of foods. You should not be cutting out certain food groups. You are going to see results based on calories in versus calories out. And even more specifically, if you break that into macros, and there's a couple ways you can find out what your macros are for you. One way is you can use the online calculators. There's tons of websites. Some are free, some you have to pay a little bit or sign up for emails or something. And they'll spit you out some numbers and you'll start there. You can also get a coach if you want a little bit more one-on-one. And so you can do, coaching is another way you can get your macros. But what you should know is that the first time your macros are calculated, whether it be by an online calculator or a coach, that is a starting point. Don't expect that in the next 2 weeks, you're gonna see amazing progress. You might, but you might not. It's a starting point. You might have to lower your macros, you might have to raise them, you have to adjust them, and you have to start somewhere. So you need to keep at it for more than a couple weeks. You gotta be patient, and it is hard at first to get adjusted to counting them, and it might seem tedious, but stick with it because I promise in a few months it's going to become easy. You're going to see results. Just understand that it's a starting point when you first get your macros. Okay, so after you get your macros, you are going to track them, and you track them. There's a couple apps on the iPhone and the Droids and stuff that you can use. I use MyFitnessPal, and basically what you do is for everything you eat, you are going to weigh it out. And then you're going to enter it in the online diary on the app, and it's going to tell you what the macros are. It even does some of the vitamins, it does the fiber count, and so you're going to do that throughout the day. So then by the end of the day, when you've entered everything you've eaten, you should be pretty dang close or right on to the macros that you have set for yourself. The point is to get as close as possible as you can. And it takes time. You might not get it on the first day, guys, and you might not get it on the 10th day. You might not get it on the 30th day. You might have to take baby steps, and that's fine. But just stick with it, like I said before. So I'm gonna show you really quickly what I mean when I say you enter it in the app. And what's nice about the MyFitnessPal, so I'll show you what it looks like. Can you see that? So you can kind of customize it. So I usually eat like 5 or 6 times a day because that's what I prefer. So I have 5 different meal sections in there. Some people have 1 and they just put all their food in that one meal. It doesn't matter because it's gonna calculate the total for you. So that is the app I use. There's other apps, and I'm not really sure how those apps work. I think they're pretty similar, but I like this app because almost everything is in it. I don't think I've ever typed anything in and not been able to find it, unless it's like a recipe, which it's cool because you can also create recipes in here. If you can't find something, you can scan it. So like if you're having Cheerios and you don't even want to type Cheerios in, all you have to do is scan it and it will come up. So anyways, by the end of the day, you hit your macros as close as you can. Contrary to popular belief, we don't eat crap all day long. Most people that use macros eat a pretty well-balanced diet. They eat fruit, veggies, whole grains, proteins, but they also eat some sugar. They also eat some more sweet treats and things that maybe don't have a lot of nutrition in them. But you will not hit your goals. You will not get enough fiber. You will not get enough vitamins and minerals if all you're eating is super processed and non-nutritious foods. So keep that in mind when people start to say that all we eat is crap. Another important thing, you should be paying attention to your fiber. I recommend at least 25 grams of fiber for people. Fiber plays a lot of roles in our body, but a couple of important ones: it helps lower our bad cholesterol, and it also helps with our digestive tract and just our overall health. So fiber is important, and if all you're eating to hit your macros is Pop-Tarts, which Hint, hint, you're not gonna hit your macros if that's all you're eating. But if you were, you wouldn't hit your fiber. I'll take you through an example so you can kind of see when you look at a box how you can tell what the macros are. So I have a box of Cheerios. And if you look at the label, and the labels are about to change for 2018, which I'm super excited about because the serving size is going to be like in bold so people see what the serving size is. The reason that a lot of people are overweight or obese is because their serving sizes are double, triple, quadruple the intended serving size on the boxes. And people just aren't aware of what a serving size is or what it looks like. So I'm excited that it's gonna be more in bold. That's also another reason why you have to weigh everything and measure everything when you're starting out with macros, is because if you just try and estimate it with your eyeballs, I guarantee you're gonna overestimate, or maybe you'll underestimate, but you won't get it right. You don't have to measure for the rest of your life, you guys, but it's a great starting point so you can visually see what a serving of this is, what 4 ounces of chicken is, what a half of cup of rice is, because oftentimes we don't actually know what it is, and that's why we're eating more than we should be. So anyways, getting to the Cheerios. So if you look at the box, I don't know if you can see that. It shows you calories, obviously right there. So it shows you the calories, and we're gonna look at just the cereal part. We're not gonna look at the milk because, God damn it, it won't let me have my head in it or it like focuses on me. Okay, so that's the calories. If we go down, that is the total grams of fat. So in up here's the serving size. In 29 grams of this cereal, so I weighed out, okay, 29 grams of it. That's its weight. When I weigh out 29 grams of this cereal, can you see that? It has about 1.5 grams of fat, 24 grams of carbs, and 2 grams of protein. And those 3 macronutrients are what is added up to get the total calories. There's also fiber. All nutrition labels have the amount of fiber in it, which I like to look at too, because if I could choose a cereal that has a couple more grams of fiber than this one, I want to choose that one because it's going to be more beneficial and more nutritious for me. And it has 3 grams of fiber, which is pretty good. So basically what will happen is you scan this into your diary and in your MyFitnessPal, and it keeps track of it for you. Now, because it has 24 grams of carbs and not a lot of protein, only 2 grams, this is a carb source. It has mostly carbs. It doesn't really contain any protein, doesn't really contain any fat. However, if I was drinking a protein shake on the side, my protein shake would be mostly protein. So that would be my protein source. And so that's how you look at boxes and labels. And I promise it'll get easier as you look at more labels, as you understand what macros are, as it becomes kind of more like second nature instead of it feeling very overwhelming. So I'll leave it at that for this video. Anyways, I hope that helped you guys a little bit understand what macros are, why people use flexible dieting, why I preach it, because there's so much flexibility. There's no restriction. It gives you so much freedom, I guess. And also, once you get good at understanding the components of each food, it's super easy to just not have to count your macros anymore and know that you're still getting the proper nutrients for your body, for your goals, for your life. I hope you all have a great day. I will talk to you soon.